So page 297, Taittiriya Upanishad, chapter 3, Bhruguvalli, and section 8. We'll be reading. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karva Vahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahaihi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Om Shanno Mitra Sham Varunaha Shanno Bhavatvaryama Shanna Indro Brihaspatihi Shanno Vishnu Rukramaha Namo Brahmane Namaste Vayo Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahmasi Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahma Vadishyami Ritam Vadishyami Satyam Vadishyami Tanma Vavatu Tad Vaktaram Avatu Avatu Mam Avatu Vaktaram. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. So we are at a section where Bhrigu got the glimpse of that Brahman and he didn't have any questions left, but still the teacher is giving some instructions and they are giving in such a way, they are telling the whole class. They are one meaning for the one group of people who have not reached the yet, and the same verse has a deeper meaning for Bhrigu. And the main thing that we read last time that the teacher does not want Bhrigu to reject the world, but see that world is Bhagwan's Vibhuti. Now it's all matching, right? From the Bhagavad Gita, it is Bhagwan's Vibhuti and everything is divine and he should be helping people, indulging in the world and trying to help people to gain that highest, not reject. And for the other students, he wants them to do some more type of meditation, more understanding of the mechanics of the world. And through that, we are also learning mechanics of the world. And we saw that how he was talking about in the previous one, he was talking about body and pranas are connected to each other. Meditate upon that. And here he's talking about the two elements, water and fire. In दोनों का बड़ा गहरा नाता उन्होंने बताया कि how they both are established in each other, they both are eater of each other and all that. And थोड़ा सा good language, but scientific facts were there. And we kind of analyze the whole thing. And now we'll read Swamiji's commentary. And that's what we'll do today. Any volunteers to read? Who wanted to read? Sneha, you wanted to read?
I can read, yeah.
Okay, great. Mm-hmm. You can't put you don't want to put the video on?
Okay. I don't know, it's rejecting all the time. Okay.
हमको 3 देवियां दिखाई दे रही है उसमें.
Yeah, I don't know how this camera.
Oh, there you are. Okay, it's all right. There you are now. Okay.
So should I start from Ananda Parikshite?
I did the Sanskrit part, so you can in the last one, so you can do not reject food se shuru kar do.
Okay.
The English translation.
Do not reject food, that is a duty. Water is food. Fire is the food eater. Fire is fixed in water. Water is fixed in fire. So food is fixed in food. Like, what does this mean, fire is?
Okay, so that I guess you didn't come. So all they're telling you is that there is a very close interaction that happens between fire and water. It happens in our body. It happens outside, everywhere. जैसे कोई आग जल रही हो तो उसमें पानी डाल दो तो बुझ जाएगी. और हमारे बॉडी में ना जब हमको ज़्यादा फायर एलिमेंट हो जाता है तो प्यास लगती है अपने को. Right? Then we drink water. So they both interact and they make the balance. एक भी अगर ज़्यादा हो जाए problem हो जाएगा. You can look at it that way also. Yeah. So there's a constant interaction between. So they both are eater of each other. अगर fire को शांत करना है तो पानी डाल दो. और पानी को गर्म करना है तो fire उसमें लगा दो तो फिर वो पानी गर्म हो जाएगा. See what I'm saying? But the main idea that they're trying to tell you is that this is an interaction in the Prakriti. The Brahman, even though all the 5 elements come from Brahman, Brahman is separate from this. It doesn't get affected by it. Transcendental, like we did, not transcendental and eminent. Remember those 2 words. So fire and water are eminent and they interact with each other. So for Bhrigu, he's saying that this is part of the Prakriti. And for the other people, they're trying to make them understand the mechanics of the word. So that's why. The language is little subtle, but that's what it means.
So water is fixed in fire. So food is fixed in food. So he who knows what food is fixed in food gets established in Brahma. He becomes the possessor of food and an eater of food. He becomes great in progeny, in cattle, and in his spiritual luster. He becomes great in fame.
So he's just telling him that, for Bhrigu, he's talking about oneness with the universe. Okay. And with the other people, he's just putting some carrots in front of them that if you do this kind of upasana, you will have a lot of samruddhi. You will have prosperity. So, but idea is that when they will be doing this kind of sadhana, their mind will become quiet, integrated, and they will understand the higher things much better. Just same purpose like why Lord Krishna told Arjuna, start with the karma yoga. Because karma yoga purifies your mind. With karmas, you cannot get Brahman. But what the role is very important. With pure mind, you will be able to understand Brahman. That's the whole idea over here also.
If in the previous upasana, the vow which the worshipper was to take be that he should not censor food. In this upasana, the vow is that he should not reject any food that comes to the table because it's not tasty. Whatever that comes to the table, he must be able to consume without making faces or protesting against that food. This will be respecting and revering food.
Okay, so the word is not, it's censure, not censor. Because censor means to cut it out. Censure has a different meaning. If you go to dictionary, talking ill about something, that's what censure means. So, all these things they are saying, or we had discussed, you probably didn't come to the previous class, that apne culture mein, how it's ingrained in us. Food is divine, don't waste food, and मतलब प्रसाद बुद्धि की तरह एक्सेप्ट करो. हम लोग जब भी मंदिर वगैरह में जाते हैं, लंगर ये जो भी है, we eat, the food. And मन में जैसा भाव होता है, food भी वैसा ही टेस्ट करेगा. मन में गुस्सा और ये होएगा तो ये क्या बनाया है आज, So they are just telling you that food, we saw that whole chain, that how it comes from Brahman only. And that's why in every culture, there is a respect for food. They say grace before you eat and this and that. Most of other cultures also respect food. It's just sometimes modern people, so-called modern, they will not think about it. And अब अपने जो बच्चे हैं वो भी waste करते हैं बहुत food because they have not grown in that culture, Some of them are realizing a little bit, but that's what they are trying to. But this is within us anyway, whatever he's saying in this paragraph.
Water that is drunk is digested by the digestive fire in our system. Therefore, water is regarded as food, and fire is regarded as the consumer of food. Water can also be considered as food in the sense that the water grains grow with water.
Food grains grow with water.
Yeah.
Huh? Food grain. Huh?
Everything is grown with water.
Yeah.
Heat is the living body, is necessary for the food to be digested, and hence the body heat can be considered as the eater of water.
So, whatever I just explained, there's a constant interaction between the two. And that is very necessary for our body maintenance as well as the universe. अगर खाली फायर ही फायर होती अर्थ पे तो हम लोग आ ही नहीं सकते थे यहाँ पे. पानी भी राइट बोलते हैं ना कि until you have a liquid water, but then both are necessary for us. Think about it.
Yeah, अपने body, when we have fever also in our body, अपन पानी की पट्टी तो लगाते हैं.
Exactly, there you go. You have extended it to even more interactions. Absolutely. The moment, that's why they want them to meditate upon it, because उनका mind एक ही subject में काफी दूर तक चलेगा. पानी और इसका interaction में तुमको 1000 example मिल जाएंगे.
Yeah, fire is fixed in water, This is true in the sense we all know that the digestive fire gets kindled and leaves to consume the food taken in. When we drink water an hour or so after a meal, in this sense, we can say that fire is fixed in water, inasmuch as by supplying water to the digestive system, its efficiency increases.
You know, we learn a lot of science over here. When they say in Ayurveda कि खाने के साथ पानी नहीं पीना चाहिए, बाद में पीना चाहिए, उन्होंने रीजन बताया है. और हम लोग सब कुछ उल्टा काम करते हैं. अमेरिका आने के बाद ठंडा पानी पीते हैं. They said, you know, I'm sure Anil ji will agree. From Ayurvedic perspective, it's supposed to be the worst thing you do because you are cooling the digestive fire. तभी यहाँ पर इतने stomach problem. I also love cold water. It's just become like a cultural thing over here that we got so used to. कहीं भी जाते थे ना तो ice water पकड़ा देते. More ice and less water. Your tongue gets used to it, you know. But it's not good for you because there is a scientific reason behind it. Yeah, Anil ji has something to say, I guess.
No, I was just going to make the same comment. In Ayurveda, they say, drink the water at your body temperature.
Ah,
Correct.
interesting. So not even like warm. It should be
No.
body
it should be-
temperature. Interesting. Very interesting. I didn't know that. I thought गर्म पानी पीना चाहिए, गर्म पानी. So वो भी ठीक नहीं है. वो भी गलत है.
ज़्यादा गर्म नहीं, थोड़ा
हाँ,
सा-
exactly. मतलब the body temperature. That has a very interesting thing because room temperature is usually less than the body temperature.
Yes.
So that's why it should be slightly warmer. Interesting.
Water is fixed in fire. Again, whenever the heat of the body increases, immediately we find water in the form of perspiration, steaming out as if water is fixed in fire. Anything consumed by fire is always accompanied by moisture. Let it be driest of fuel that you can find. Completely dehydrated things cannot be burnt. They can only be charred.
See, how much science he taught us. You know, and even this, that जब body में heat ज़्यादा होती है तो पानी बाहर निकल जाता है. Look at the connection, water and fire. My goodness. Unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
you see in Jaisalmer, there's a forest. Not it's a park where they show how the wood, which is actually a live thing, after it becomes dried, it becomes coal. So
Ah.
so again, when it becomes dehydrated, then it can be charred.
Right, interesting. True. Mhm.
Altogether, the teacher wants to emphasize in another striking analogy how the eater and the eaten, the experiencer and the experienced are interchangeable, and therefore, in fact, they are both virtually one and the same. The relationship between the subject and the object is clearly shown to be one and the same. When a glass rod is put in a trough half full of water, we find, because of refraction, half of the rod outside the water is straight and the other half inside the water is bent at an angle to it. This ugly delusion is because of the medium through which we are looking at the object. Similarly, the subject and the object, though they are one and the same, the world of objects seem to be different from the subject because of the refraction that is caused by the medium of the mind and the intellect through which we are experiencing the objects.
Very interesting analogy he gave, no? Beautifully. That how, and we know that if you put a rod, it looks टेढ़ा. He's saying that हम लोग को दुनिया टेढ़ी मेढ़ी इसीलिए दिखाई देती है because we are seeing it through our mind. और जैसा mind होगा वैसी दुनिया दिखाई देगी. अगर कोई बोले ना कि दुनिया में सारे दुष्ट हैं because उसके मन में वो सब है negative चीजें. और कहो तो दुनिया बहुत सुंदर है because उसके मन में है. Beauty is in eye of beholder. That phrase
It's
is...
also telling us this, also I would look at it as the Maya and think what God is saying is I am everywhere and you are in me,
Yes.
So we have to look at equality with that perception. If we see that everything is equal,
Yes.
the food that we eat and what we are consuming is all one,
Yep, true. What you said.
As before, the fruits of the upasana are enumerated as great material success and easy satisfaction of all of the fundamental desires of life.
Yeah.
Turning from the ordinary student, you want me to stop?
It's okay. You can do both. Yeah. Do another one too.
Turning from the ordinary students who understood this is as a pure method of upasana to the great student Bhrigu, we can find that the perfect student in him had a special message in these very same words of the teacher. To a student of realization who has just peeped into the beyond and got divinely inspired, the message would be that he should not, on any score, reject food. Food meaning the world of objects that can be experienced. The manifested world of plurality is not to be rejected as a false and delusory nothingness.
So with that, like I said, the first small paragraph is just saying the fruits of upasanas are mentioned when he said, all the things that he said, annado annavan bhavati, he will have a lot of food, he will have a lot of praja, he'll have family, he will have pashubhi, brahmavarchasen, yeah, he will have a glow of, his upasana and all. That's for all the lower students, and wealth and fame and everything. And to Bhrigu, like what Meena ji had mentioned last time, when he talk about food, is not just food by one food that we eat, everything that comes through our five senses, all the objects of the world, he's talking, says that don't reject that. And I think even in Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna, Bhagwan and Arjuna talking to each other, and in second chapter, Arjuna asked that, Sthita Pragna Lakshana, are there people who are established in Brahman? And when they transact with the world, how do they transact with the world? Because when we look at the world, we look at it one way, they have a different drishti. So Bhagwan ने 18 verses में पूरा describe किया है beautifully, and हम लोग ने बहुत पहले किया था. That's why I think when we finish Bhagavad Gita, we got to start from beginning. And if once we finish it and start, you will see it start opening up even more, everything. Because now we have a full picture of it. So anyway, to make the long story short, one meaning is just the food, but here he's talking about much deeper meaning, that don't reject the world.
I also felt that in this one, to Bhrigu, he was saying the philosophy of Advaita.
Yes.
The one
True.
of the seer and the seen, of the eater
Yes.
and the eaten.
Yes.
That the oneness he's showing.
Yes.
And that Bhrigu can understand at this point, whereas the other students cannot at this point.
Correct. Yeah.
So I thought it was interesting. He's taking a little bit further in this way.
Yeah. And it's a very smart thing to do with one class. It's like, killing two birds with the same stone. It's a analogy ka description bahut bura hai, magar it gives you the meaning that, hey, he's doing two things with one shloka.
It's one without a second. And that's what he's showing.
Yeah.
What the Maya and he's showing that.
Because I think that what he's trying to warn us is that once you get that glimpse of that Bhagwan, or you connect with it, you should not become selfish and just, I want this, and then think that everybody else is like, out there and I'm here.
No, anybody else. Let's put it, when you are Advaita, if you see that,
Right.
there is no anybody
Then,
else.
so he wants him to go towards that, absolutely, because there's a danger that this person might just, just get into the gufa and not do like the word Krishna Bhagwan used was lok sangraha, that these people do it for the welfare of people.
Right.
They are also working.
Yeah, he's new. He's a student, and that's why the father is trying to, take him, push him a little bit further to see a little bit more. I
Correct.
think. But,
The example of the waves is aptly used in this context. To misunderstand them as having independent, individual existence is not to understand the ocean at all. The advice is for a reinterpretation of the world and not for its negation as a whole. With the vision of the divine that is immanent in the world of names and forms, the world represents a total different field altogether for the perfect man to serve and to adore, to worship and to guide.
So that's what he wants him to do. Yeah, the worship and guide and all that. And we saw the ocean and relationship of the waves. Our teacher used to say, if you take the water out of the ocean and a wave, suppose, and then bring it to your house, it's not called a wave anymore. Wave has to be part of the ocean. Then it's called a wave. The same way we are part of Bhagwan. So whatever all of you are saying, it fits over here.
On way up socially, I am independent of the ocean. That is also foolish.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, both ways. Yes.
The main theme of Taittiriya Upanishad, apart from its philosophical theories, is the right attitude of the man of knowledge towards the world of multiplicity. Study of the scriptures and experience of the truth indicated by them is one part of the perfect one's existence, Swadhyaya. The other part is constituted of the spread of this idea among his fellow men so that the divine culture of the land may be maintained and properly cultivated.
Pravachan. So Swadhyay and Pravachan. We saw that earlier also. उन्होंने ये काफी emphasize किया था. He, when their whole speech was given to the क्या बोलते हैं, parting speech when they graduated. They told them instructions. What was it? Dharmam Chara something. And now I'm forgetting the words. But that's where he said Pitru Devo Bhava, Matru Devo Bhava, वो सब बताया था उन्होंने. Satyam Vada, Dharmam Chara, and all that. Anyway, what they were trying to say is, you study, you understand, go and tell everybody else. So he said that it's not like Hinduism, we don't have a missionary thing, It's not only in Christianity, except that they're not saying कि किसी को मारो काटो जानबूझ के बुद्धू बना के और फिर अपने में मिला लो, ऐसा नहीं. उनको समझा के अच्छे से, there's a value in it, that you should do that. Whatever you learn, you should spread it to others. That's what he's trying to say.
Bhrigu was advised not to reject the world on any score, but to recognize the true divine nature of the world outside and to continue his life of love and sympathetic understanding of the world. Bhrigu was commissioned to guide the generation through the right channels of correct evaluation of life as such, and to goad the members of his generation to live the Hindu cultural way of life by themselves.
So that's the conclusion over here by Swamiji, that he should continue the life of love and sympathetic understanding of the world, and he's encouraging commissioning is the word I use. Usko bola ki jaake aisa karo, and then we talked about it. I know that Sneha, you also read lot of biographies and all of the saints. सभी के गुरुओं ने भेजा उनको. खुद तो वो आना भी नहीं चाहते थे अमेरिका वगैरह ना. गुरुओं ने बोला नहीं तुम जाओ, तुमको जाना पड़ेगा.
चिन्मयानंद को भी तो बोला गया.
Chinmayanand ji actually, no, it was not Chinmayanand ji. Chinmayanand ji got inspired looking at Ganga and he wanted to come and do it. So, but others like Yogananda and Prabhupada ji को 40 साल पहले बोला गया था उनके गुरु से that you have to go to America, and he, after 40 years he picked up the courage to come at age 69.
Yeah,
he followed.
Also Swami Vivekanand.
Yes, there you go. Swami Vivekanand came here too. Absolutely. Yes. So, and how many people, even till today, people get inspired.
Vivekanand को तो बेचारों को Americans को मालूम नहीं था कि ये vegetarian है, तो उनको meat खिला दिया. तो he never rejected the food, he ate it. So in fact, people tell कि why did Vivekanand eat meat? But he was being respectful to the host.
Unbelievable. Yeah. So उनके जो ways होते हैं ना, from the worldly perspective, if we see, then people might criticize and do this, but उन्होंने क्यों किया वो वही बता सकते हैं, और फिर जब बताएंगे तो हमारी आंखें खुलती है क्यों किया, right? So true, absolutely true, because we can't even copy what they do, because they are doing it from some higher perspectives, these kind of things, So anyway, any other comment, question?
For him eating that meat was not a food that he's eating for pleasure. It must be such a supreme sacrifice that
yes, so true,
to tolerate that food.
Yes. And even other swamis, what they had to face. I mean, because I go to Hare Krishna temple, some of them tell the stories that when Prabhupada ji arrived in New York, he said, "मैं किसको जाके कृष्ण के बारे में बोलूं?" I mean, it is such a different.
Yeah.
And उनको कौन मिले? People who were addicted to drugs, people who wanted to run away, these teenagers, उनको उन्होंने transform कर दिया. Think about it. So lot of them, 1 or 2 of them are like from that time in this mandir over here, and they tell their stories that, how they some of them just went there because he knew how to cook very good. So he would cook for them and he said, do you want to be happy? I will show you how to dance and be happy. And धीरे धीरे उनको ड्रग से निकाल दिया उन्होंने और बोला कि कृष्णा consciousness में. And then some of them, they transformed their life. So what they have done, we can't even imagine. What they had to face, Unbelievable. Anyway, very inspiring. Should I close the class?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to close the class, and after that, Joe has something to share. So I know it's time up, but if whoever wants to stay back and hears Joe's story can hear something interesting to share. So I'm going to just first close it, and then whoever wants to stay. So Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kashchit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.